What's up, peeps? Welcome back to Sorrel Plays, and today I'm doing a video about steps, how to make steps in your restaurant. So we're going to do a few different types of steps. I've done one just to show you to begin with, and I'm just going to talk through the way in which you get this effect. It's not complete, obviously. You would have to add certain things depending on what kind of look you want. I've done it on the side. I kind of wish I'd started in the middle, but anyway, I've left a bit of space so we can try out different things, different types of steps. So the concept here is basically when you put your walls down, you need to graduate them. You need to leave one space to the left and one space. So I'll start with this one. So one space to the left, you move over, and then one space to the right of that step, which ends up here. Now, if you put it over here, for example, it doesn't look like there's a change in graduation, so you're not going to get the step effect. You have to cover kind of at an angle the back step, so the back wall. If you cover the side of that wall and you don't see, you only see one side of the wall basically, kind of, you can get that effect straight away. So you graduate it, so you can see these ones, they go down in a step. But if we did it kind of like this, it's going to do nothing for making that step effect happen. So the reason this visual effect becomes the step effect is because we are covering part of the wall behind it. So you do that all the way down. Oh. And then the opposite direction is where you're not covering the step, but you have to kind of graduate outwards. Now, the spacing needs to be even. Let's just move these down so that I'm demonstrating how to make the step take up less space. Now, this is not going to work with the amount of steps we've got, and I'll tell you why I put the plants there in a sec. But you can have a smaller step, a bigger step. So basically you just count the spaces in between to arrange how much space the steps are taking up. The reason I've put plants in front of them, you can do it without plants as well, just take those off so you can see, is basically to complete the step effect, you need to graduate the colours of the floor. So you've got one darker colour and one lighter colour. You can do this with any colour you want. So let me just pick a different colour for the floor, or for the bit where you're making the step darker. So you could do it with this colour, for example. Now when you put the plants in, I'll just get out of the step mode, it's freezing on me. What you're doing is kind of hiding, if you can see, when you move it over, you see the green part. Of course you can continue with the floor colour there as well, so that you don't see that. But when you put a step in, when you put a plant in front of this, it makes it look like this dark part is the step that goes downwards. Now with the lines, the squares on here, it doesn't look very convincing, but once you come out of edit mode, the squares will disappear and it will make it look like, you know, you won't see these squares on the steps, so it will make it look like it's one solid block running across. So that's one way of doing it. We've moved down the walls now, so I've messed it up, but never mind. And the second lot of plants that are going over kind of shows you where the treads and where the faces are of the steps. You could put the plants in front of the last step so that you're not taking up so much space. Excuse me, I do apologise for my voice. I always have this problem. So we'll just do the same thing here. Now, making it asymmetrical is one thing. You can do it without making it asymmetrical as well. And the other thing I wanted to mention was that the part here where I've got, where these walls are, where the dark floor is. Now, when you're decorating, so you're going to start putting stuff down where the green bit is at the moment. If you put stuff in front of this, it makes it look like as this rises up over here, the parts that you've done dark, where these plants are, is the part that is higher than the ground over here. So for that reason, you put in a darker floor so it gives the visualization. Let's get rid of this a minute. That the floor that is dark is actually higher up. And when you start decorating, you can put stuff in front of there to kind of hide that a little bit, if you like. And then when you start putting your walls up here, this is going to add to, I'll just plonk them randomly right now, but I don't have enough walls to do that with, to do the whole thing. You could put windows up here anyway. When you start putting your walls up onto this bit that we're trying to make look higher, instantly it starts helping with that visualization. So that's one way of doing it. I'm going to start with a different example now. So for example, you want steps that are long and narrow, but they're all kind of the same size. We could use the steps we've got over here actually. Oh, so let's do, but I do want to start a new one so you can actually see what I'm doing. So you want a step that goes down to the right of your calf. And we're going to do a spacing of 2 here. I'm just going to plonk them in a line. You know, this might be an easy way for you to start this. If you find it difficult to, you know, start with a completely empty layout, you could start by just laying out your blocks in this way. So you've got that, and then just remember the rule of 1 to the left. So it's always one space to the left, 1 space to the left on here as well. Just make sure you've got 2 spaces at the top here, 2 spaces between these 2, between these 2, between these. And then you need your floor again. So we're just going to pick a tile to use. I like to use something that complements the colours of the walls. So we'll use this one. And again, you need one that is a little bit darker for the faces of the steps. I mean, you could do it with a light colour, but let's try that. It's not really going to give you the impression that that's the step that's going down and facing a different way, if you like. So if I can just get that out the way, you can see it. So it will be like this, and then you obviously need to remember that you won't be able to see these little squares when you come out of the edit mode, which we can't do because I haven't put any trees and bushes and machines out, so you won't be able to see that. And you can always continue this floor that we've used for the treads. So you come out this way, and then that looks more complete now. So that's your side steps. This is your asymmetrical steps. And then I'm going to show you. I'll get another wall out, I think. It's going to take a while for me to scroll through this, but just so we keep all of these out, and you can always screenshot it, and while you're working on your steps, just refer back to it as a little guide to some of the things you can do. So the walls are all the way down the bottom. This is the problem with working in the edit mode, because this isn't on my main layout. I can't just pop in and out and get the walls directly in the inventory on the main layout. This edit inventory is a bit of a nightmare. I wish they would separate them into tabs. So we're going to get out as many walls as we can possibly get out, so that I don't have to keep going back into this. And the worst thing is you're going through the list and it snaps back out, and then you have to start again. Let's hope that doesn't happen. A little bit to go. Really would be great if we could have the tabs so the walls are separate from everything else, at least just the walls. Maybe the doors as well. I've kind of stopped decorating in this mode now. Right, if I pick a different colour, in case purple's not your thing, let's go with the white one, because that's kind of plain and simple. So I'm going to take out, please don't pang back in now. This is another thing you've got to be careful when you're putting these down, because if it goes back in, you've had it. Let's try and do this in an orderly fashion so that it's just on the side of the screen, and I can just pick them up when I need them. That looks really cool, like a little building. You could put windows on this and just have a little building. Right, so now we've done the asymmetrical, we've done the side step. Of course, you can have this step going to the other side as well. So you could have it going outwards rather than inwards. And then we're going to do the step that opens in the middle, so like a central step. This one's a little bit more difficult because of the way the squares are on the game. So you can make these bigger or smaller, wider, narrower. You can use small walls to do this with. You can use hedges. So that's our step there. Now, what you can do with the floor, this is where this one's a little bit difficult. So if we use white, so if you set your first, so imagine this is your room up here. Now, remember, the treads are light and the faces are dark. Oh. And we choose a darker colour. Black would look nice with this. So when these steps are facing forward, you have to have this diagonal kind of effect going on. I haven't figured out any other way you can do this, apart from kind of inverted steps. So I'll show you that in a sec. And you could put some plants or something on here as well. You can do the plants with all of them, of course, and the plants kind of soften it up and make it more convincing that it's steps. So we need to find something we've got a lot of. If it's not plants, you could do it with anything else as well, as long as it doesn't take up too much space. But for example, it could be these. And basically, this just kind of confirms that these are treads and not faces. Oh, we had just enough. Okay, so that's another way. And then we're going to do the inverted steps. So we're going to use some floor here. Let's do grey. Don't know if that's going to be enough space. I'll do it over here. And then we need to pick up these walls and go down to there. This is the problem with getting the walls out in the first place. You kind of end up having to keep going up and down on your screen. Just going to kind of plonk them randomly, as long as we know how many we need. This floor's going to change in a minute because they're inverted. It will change where your floor goes. Just making sure I've got the even amount of walls here. So let's bring them closer together. Once you've got them in a line, it becomes easier to arrange them. So you use the same rule of one space to the left and then one space to the right on the step that's on the right, of course. Let's get the floor again. So we'll use the grey one. So this time we are going for inverted. So you're just changing the direction of the step. We're going to mess about with our spacing in a minute. Just do all of this grey and then we can use a darker one to cancel those out. So we're going to move these outwards. It's really difficult to make sure that everything's in the right place. But if you mess about with it, eventually you'll get them in the right place. I think that one's can be fiddly. And the floor kind of changes as you change the position of the steps. Oh. Do they look right? Yeah, they do. Okay, so let's get our grey floor again. You basically just fill in the spaces in with this first. And then we're going to get our dark floor. We'll use the black again. Or should we use, hang on. We use this one. So the dark bits are in between the walls. Not where the walls meet up, but just in between. So we've got that one, which comes outwards, and this one, steps go inwards. So the next type of stairs we can make are stairs with landings. So I'll start this off over here. There is so many different types of things you can do. You just need to work on them and come up with different strategies and different things you can do. So I'm going to place the steps as we did with the narrow steps on this one, but we're going to have landings as well. Don't know if I can get how many I can get in this space, but let's kind of leave it at this. So the ones where you've left bigger gaps, like this one, the free spaces, they're the landings. So we've got 2 landings and 2 steps. So we get some floor out again. Let's do it with the red, so we haven't got too much of a graduation. So again, we're going to go in between the steps on there. I think I've left more space on this one. We'll have to move that down. And then what can we use for, use this one for the landings. I think this is going to have to move up, so I'll go over. Is it going to move up? I'll check that in a minute. So we've got 1 step going up on each one. Yeah, I think that's right. This needs to move. Don't freeze on me. Yeah, there it is. So you've got a step going up. Let's complete the floor on the bottom so you can see it. And it looks like it's graduating upwards in that way. Let's just do this so that it looks, you can get the overall effect here. These need to move, so the landing's a bit bigger like the other one. And there you go, you've got 1 step up, a landing, 1 step up, and another landing, and then your room. So we can make all different kind of things. I mean, we could try, never tried this one, let's try it like zigzag spiral steps. Don't know how well this is going to work. I'm not sure. I'll check the gaps in a minute. Not sure if you have to bring the walls a bit closer together. I'll try that in a sec. Because of the way the graphics are on the game, might be a bit difficult to do this one. And maybe you can't have a tight spiral. It has to kind of be, you know, more gaps. So if we use the pink, so that's the floor leading up to the steps, and then we'll do the treads for each one. The place you're going to have a little issue with is here, where it kind of does, it won't let you turn the steps. So let's see if we can turn the steps. So for example, obviously you can't see that one, but you might not be able to see. So connecting wise, let me just change the second floor so that we can try and make sense of this. Use this one. So basically you need to make it look like some of the step is obscure, you can't see it. So if we had a pink one there, we'd have a white one there. And the rest of the pink floor when you get up from the steps. Not sure if that one looks like steps. It's difficult to make it look right because it has to be square, but you can always put something in front of that. For example, a tree on the parts that won't look spirally because we've got square blocks and we can't do anything about that. What could we put there? And how could we manipulate this to make it look right? Maybe something not too tall. I'm not quite sure on this one. It's something I'm definitely going to be looking into a little bit more to see if we can actually make it look spirally. This never-ending list is grinding. So, for example, these trees. And where to extend the floor up to, that's a question. Let's try that. If you move this wall up, is it going to make it right or not? Moving this up, moving that up. No, that looks terrible. Might be this one. Something's not right, I just can't work out what. Let's put another wall here so they end exactly in the same place. Or so they seem to end in the same place. And maybe some dark floor at the front. So you just put stuff in front of this, as I explained in the first one. It's amazing how colours make so much difference and make you see things that maybe aren't even there. But yeah, something like that for the spiral stairs. I'll work on that one, I'll get back to you on it. It might be impossible to do because of this square blocks showing up, but there might be a way of doing it. If you put some black in the background, would that help? Could be something you can work on. Definitely. Okay, so what other types of stairs could we do? We've got our asymmetrical, both leading up. And you can do these any size. You can make this asymmetrical one smaller so it doesn't take up too much space. This one can go left or right. The one thing you can't do is a set of straight stairs. So you would have to always graduate the steps one way or the other. So you can't make them do this, for example. See if we can amend that with the floor. So we've got treads and the floor, a tread here, a tread there, and more floor here. I'll just cut this off from this one so it doesn't confuse matters. And then we'll get the dark floor, do the black again, and see if that looks any good. This kind of looks like bits of board or something stuck between blocks when you do it like this. But again, if you come out of the edit mode, it could be possible that they look convincing enough without all those squares when they look like they've got solid blocks. Will it make any difference if I remove the ones in between? Could be a possibility, and again you can put some plants or something in front of it. See if we can find anything suitable. In this very long list again. I don't know, would columns work? If the columns look like they went upwards, that could work. I don't have enough to demonstrate that. Maybe fill in these bits in. I'm not sure about that one. It's a possibility, depending on your decoration outside of this area. It might work. But the thing I'm saying is, you'd have to move these over so that they actually look like steps. Trying to save space and doing them straight. Not sure if that's going to work. But it's something you can try and experiment with, have a go. So this is it. You could screenshot this if I could get in photo mode, but because it's not in the main layout, it's not going to happen. Put these walls over here just to tidy this up a bit. So we've got the landing and step, asymmetrical steps, the outward steps. We've got the straight steps we're not sure about, if they could work. You can play around with that one. Then we've got this straight line of steps, and then the inward steps and the spiral steps. Again, one we're not too sure about, we need to work on that one. And that's it. Enjoy creating your steps, guys. Post some pictures on my Food Street Lounge group on the restaurant decorations post, so I can see how you've got on with that. It'll be interesting to see your designs. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Peace out.